So, hey guys, today we're going to be talking about monster effects and specifically just trigger timings. So, I have a couple of examples somewhat prepared. So, we have uh, just a few ideas. So, we have like Dark Refer with an inherent summon effect here, kinda. It's not really an effect, but inherent summon. And then we have an ignition effect here, and then we have a trigger effect with like I don't know. We can do whatever we want. So let's do. I'm feeling in a branded mood today, so yeah, let's do a Luber, and then for quick effect, there's basically none, very much. I believe maybe like Ecclesia has an effect like that. How do you even spell Ecclesia? Well, well, somehow we got it done. But all right. So, in terms of just how monsters work, for the most part, we have like special summon effects. So that'd be like a Therion, where this actually
Mhm.
starts a chain. So if we have like activate Therion King Regulus, it'll special summon itself, or like a Bestial, which can do this as quick effect. So it gets more and more niche as we go along, I guess. But all right. So with Dark Refer, this ignition effect is the weakest out of all of these types of kind of effects, I guess. So we have, well, for the categories of, I guess, main deck monsters, I suppose you have like your ignition effects, your trigger effects, and then your quick effects. And the best trigger timing, or the best trigger here is going to usually be quick effect. But the one benefit that trigger effects have over quick effects is chain blocking. So something like an Apollosa or a Baron de Fleur would not be able to negate like a Luber potentially. So if we were to do, for example, let's go uh, Branded Fusion, Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2, Branded Opening. On resolution, we can then go Chainlink 1, Albion, Chainlink 2, uh, a Luber, and that would work. Or if we were able to send a light monster that actually triggered in the graveyard, we could chain block Albion that way as well with just a branded fusion. And this idea, I think, is pretty neat. But then you're left with ignition effects where you're essentially a sitting duck and you can't do anything. So if we go to Malice, for example, we could easily beat Malice by just removing the Dormouse with any sort of removal aside from banishing. So we could attach Dormouse to one of our monsters. We could destroy Dormouse, shuffle back Dormouse, return Dormouse to the hand. And we can just do that whenever Dormouse is normal summoned, basically, right? And it's completely cooked, and you never get an opportunity to activate Dormouse. But if we were to go to, for example, instead, White Rabbit, White Rabbit would always set the trap. And if you hit it with removal, the effect is still going to resolve, right? So that'd be like Chainlink 1 White Rabbit, Chainlink 2 DP, remove White Rabbit, and White Rabbit will still resolve. Same thing with a Luber. So quick effects as well are not going to be affected by removal either. So the worst effects for your main deck monsters are essentially going to be ignition. And I don't think this matters that much now, but I feel like this will genuinely matter in the future. And I feel like, well, it's not necessarily going to be soon. I mean, it could be, but a lot of our monsters might transition to being closer to something like what Incredible Ecclesia does, I feel like, where, uh, yeah, well, I don't know whose main phase or whatnot, how this would work exactly, but I'm expecting a lot more of your main deck monsters to switch from being like trigger and ignition to just being like quick effect eventually, to just probably make the game more interesting. That there's potential that this is going to happen at some point, I think. So whenever that does happen, this actually allows you to also more effectively play around some hand traps and such. And the game does get more complicated, which I'm not sure if like Konami would want that necessarily. But I mean, it's something I would want personally for the game to be more complex and to have more options available to me and more things that I need to play around and all that. And this would also make playing going second into something just easier. So let's assume we're against a board with a bunch of removal stuff. So like maybe it'd be Punk, but they didn't. Yeah, honestly, just screw Gen Fever. This is just a boring old monster negate. So we're going to be playing around stuff like Amazing Dragon, uh, Dangerous Gaboo, and Nashiwari Surprise. Okay, so if we're going to be playing into this board like immediately with Dark Griffer, I have to like discard a card for cost, special summon it, and then send another guy for cost if I'm able to even activate this effect. But you know, whether I normal or special summon Dark Griffer, easy just pop the Dark Griffer, and then it's just gone, right? And then with Aluber, you can't really use removal on it, so you'd probably just use the negate. And that would deal with the Aluber, right? And that is a lot easier to deal with than, well, it's not as easy to deal with as the Dark Griffer because you actually have options against Dark Griffer, so you could either use the Monster Negate effect here, the Pop effect here, or we can even go Amazing Dragon effect to bounce back Dark Griffer immediately before it can activate. All solid options here, I suppose. And then with Ecclesia, with it specifically tributing itself as cost for the quick effect activation of what Ecclesia does, this card is significantly better than the other two. Just before we actually consider what the effect does, just based purely off of the trigger here, we can just special summon Ecclesia, and then we can special summon another guy. And none of this is really super easy to stop, so with removal, the timing's not so great for this. I suppose if we do Synchro Summon Amazing Dragon, we can do that in chain to Ecclesia if we want to. Keeping in mind that you have to, for this type of effect, you have to like resolve the effect in two chains. So one to summon, and then the second one to resolve the actual effect. And then these just don't work at all. So this is clearly already just better. But against something like an Appaloosa, you know, Appaloosa can just negate this as a raw monster negate. It can negate this also, and negate this one as well. But if we have like the Branded Fusion type play against the Appaloosa, like I kind of mentioned before, we can just completely outplay and dominate against Appaloosa. So let's assume maybe we have Branded Fusion. We're able to send a guy, light monster that triggers in the graveyard. So we can chain block Albion. Then we can Albion effect to special summon Mirror Jade. And then Mirror Jade can just run over Appaloosa potentially by battle. And if Appaloosa wants to negate Mirror Jade still sends a guy that will trigger later for cost as well. And that's pretty cracked. There's also like a few other ideas. Mirror Jade actually isn't on summon, so if we did Chaos Star Source instead, we could do like Chain Link 1 or something Albion, and then we can later on chain like Branded Opening to trigger a Luber to chain block like a Guardian Chimera or something. Guardian Chimera. Chaos Star Source to remove the Appaloosa because it's on a lower chain link, it wouldn't be negatable. Unless, of course, you're playing like Ryzeal, in which case it's like, cool, I can't even chain block against Cross, despite it being a dirty, filthy kind of monster negate. Epic. But yeah. Then with summoning, we have the idea of just only being able to normal summon the monster. Well, I mean, a Luber would only be normal summonable if were our only card in hand, it would need another card to summon it, if that makes sense. But with Dark Grepher, this special summons itself. This is also an inherent summon here with Ecclesia, conditional. Magnemite's also conditional, but essentially it's a quick effect special summon, and it can be used as interruption, which is very nice. Therian King Regulus starts a chain, which makes it a little bit worse than some of the other ones here. So same idea and same kind of issue with like Therions. So if we were actually playing Therion, let's say I send a Lily Brea to the graveyard. Well, right here, if my opponent has Called by the Grave, they can just immediately Called by Lily Brea, and then I just can't summon my Therian King Regulus, right? If they were to do it in chain, the effect tries to resolve as much as possible, and it goes special summon Therian King Regulus and then equip in that order. So it will still special summon if you chain Called by. But if you do it earlier, I can't even activate the card in the first place, much like ignition effects. So for the most part, everything is just better as a quick effect, except when you need to chain block, in which case triggers would be better. But also at the same time, the thing that's really annoying about this, in my opinion, is that there aren't that many decks where you can use chain blocking to your advantage, and going second, it's not a thing that you can easily do either, which I really dislike. If we had more ability to do that, then we'd have more reason to play like removal cards, like Amazing Dragon and such, right? Because Apollosa just getting chain blocked and being completely removed without being able to negate anything meaningful, I think that's something that would be hype if you could somewhat do, or get your key effects to resolve by chain blocking. And the idea of your deck being slightly more powerful or having like some extra ability if you're going second, like in case of Incredible Ecclesia, if your opponent controls a monster, or your bestial monsters being able to be used as hand traps, I think that's pretty cool. And just allows you a better chance of winning going second without being like super oppressive. Especially with Ecclesia, I think Ecclesia is really good in that department. I think bestials can be a bit oppressive because they're actually a bit too ridiculous. So let's just go through what bestials do real quick. And we're going to use the examples of specifically the most powerful cards because that's what I felt like today, I guess. So we have Lubellion and we have Magnema, okay? So assuming I'm going second, I can go Magnema effect, banish my opponent's like light or dark monster. That'll probably stop something. And stop the whole turn, potentially. And then next turn, we'll go grab Lubellion. Lubellion can then grab the Druis Worm. And this is assuming we're going uninterrupted, but if we might get interrupted, we can just go directly for Druis Worm instead of going Lubellion into Druis Worm. But alright. Magnemite grabs Lubellion, grabs Druis Worm. Then we contribute the Magnemite. Grab Branded Regained. And activate that on the field, right? And then if our opponent normals or special summons on our turn, they'll trigger Magma again to search any dragon monster aside from itself. So potentially more Bestials or starter extender type deal. Who knows? And then Lubellion we can summon on a later turn, but it doesn't really do anything unless you're also playing Branded Beast, which you could be. Worth throwing that out there, I guess. And then also, because you have Druis Worm, that's going to allow you to banish another one of your opponent's light or dark monsters, or potentially one of your own if that's necessary. And they'll also actually give you a draw off of Branded Regained. And also, this is removal with the effect right here. And also, this is a 2.5k beater, which could potentially remove some smaller monsters from your opponent's board, or even some potential boss monsters. So with Malice as an example, that can beat over like a White Binder, Red Ransom, a Heart Scripter you can crash with, and then remove something else as well, which is just pretty damn strong, I guess. If we were to go first, then we could go like Lubellion, grab Magma. Magma banishes a card tribute for a Lubellion. Grab Branded Regained. Regained effect can potentially draw a card. Even if it doesn't, it'll probably draw you a card next turn because you'll grab Druid Worm with Magnemite or potentially a Baldrake. And all of these guys are interruptions as well. Pretty much all of these guys are 2 interruptions and not 1. And then this leads you into 2 interruptions, so that's like 2, 3, and then you have Branded Regain, which grabs Magma again, which can potentially, like, if we just stop here, that'd be 5 interruptions. And also this can grab back from the graveyard, so technically you can just grab the same Druid Worm again. You don't even have to be playing multiple, which is worth mentioning, I suppose. So then that's like 5 interruptions. And then potentially like 7, 9, and just continuously bashing your opponent's cards, summoning these guys back, beating over your opponent's cards, triggering their effects over and over again. And it goes a little bit crazy and it gets out of hand a little bit sometimes. But I think like pistols right now are a bit special, and I don't think that they would necessarily want to make a lot more cards that are as generic as pistols. Maybe I'm thinking more like archetypal cards would be possible that kind of play similar to this a little bit, or just cards with like effects more suited to being able to play going first and going second a little bit cleaner. So yeah, if we just had the same effect on Dark Grepher, but this was actually a quick effect, this is probably the best it would be. So the issue with this being a trigger is, well, if it's a trigger, I don't have as much freedom in when I activate the card. So let's take out all this to make this easier. So here is a specific 2-card combo I can only do because of how Dark Grepher works exactly as it is right now. So we're going to just grab all of the cards I believe we need for this combo. So it should be just some of these guys. So all we need for this combo is Dark Grepher plus Danger Nessie. So Dark Grepher will discard the Danger Nessie, and it is specifically a discard, which will trigger Danger Nessie because it was discarded. As you can see right here, which allows you to add a danger card. So in this case, I want Danger Jackalope, which we will also be discarding with the Dark Grepher. And in this case, we'll be sending Destrudo. And then Destrudo can target the Dark Grepher, and we can trigger the Danger Jackalope as well. So in this combo line, I believe we're supposed to... Well, yeah, it doesn't actually matter that much, does it? No, it does. We are supposed to summon the Danger Mothman. And now, with the Danger Mothman, plus the Dark Grepher, we can go ahead and make Dugaris. And Dugaris, then we can use this effect. Dugaris. Skip your next main phase 1. Also special summon 1 monster from your graveyard in defense position. Guess there's something I want to say about Dugaris after this, but alright. Dugaris effect can then bring back Dark Grepher, which, what would you know about this? This has the legendary words right here, once per turn, as in soft once per turn, as in we can activate it again after we special summon with Dugaris. Okay, so now on our field we should have Dark Grepher, Dugaris, and then Destrudo, but we only had Danger Nessie and Dark Grepher in hand, and we already pitched Jackalope, so we have no more dark monsters in hand, but what do you know? We could actually go ahead and make Crystron Halki Fibrax here, using 2 monsters including a tuner, so I'll go ahead and use Dugaris plus Destrudo, and then this allows me to trigger Crystron Halki Fibrax effect to special summon Glow Up Bloom. And now that we have Glow Up Bloom here, we can link this off for Link Karibo. And this will go ahead and allow me to add a level 5 or higher zombie monster from my deck to my hand, in which case I choose you, Doom King Balladrock. So now, oh, would you look at this? I have a dark card to pitch with my Dark Refer. So now I'm going to pitch Doom King Balladrock, and we're going to send a card. So here we're going to send Necroworld Banshee, and then we can use the quick effect of Necroworld Banshee in the graveyard to activate a Zombie World directly from my hand or deck, and this allows me to activate Zombie World on field, and would you look at that? Synergy. Doom King Balladrock now has the effect to special summon itself because there is a field spell, and they'll happen in the next standby phase. Crazy, right? And also, while we're at it, we can link off Linkribo plus Dark Refer after we've resolved Banshee or Vampire Sucker, and then this will trigger Vampire Sucker next turn when Doom King special summons itself from the graveyard for a draw, and then during the main phase, we'll be able to use the effect of like Formula Synchron to get another draw and also convert this Doom King into a Baron, and then this will come back on my turn in the standby phase once again. There is no lethal here because of like Dugaris, I believe. A lot of the time, it's situational, I guess, depending on how far you go, but this entire line just ceases to work if we change this to a trigger, right? So if we were to have this as a trigger, when I send the Danger Nessie triggers, so I have no card in hand, and then, you know, if I summon with Dugaris, still no card in hand, so if this were a trigger, the combo would just not work at all. If it were a quick effect, it would still be fine, but now there's the added benefit of if my opponent were to hit me with a piece of removal or something, and I'm going second, at least I can still resolve my effect once, potentially here, right? Or attempt to resolve it. Whereas with some other cards, you just don't even have an attempt to do anything with your card. So, for example, if I was playing Altergeist instead, let's go through this quick and easy line. So let's assume I'm playing against Malice, okay? I normal summon Altergeist Meluseek. Now my opponent turns their chain to on, and we go ahead and reborn the Link 3 that just banishes everything in the graveyard, and then it just special summons everything back. So banish Whitebinder, triggers to your stuff, set MTP07, activate MTP07, banish my Meluseek. And I couldn't do anything about that, and my opponent activated like 7 different effects. And I couldn't do a damn thing, you know, literally could not do a thing. Is that fair? I'd argue. No, right? Well, I mean, Meluseek, at least, its effects are like triggers and not ignitions, but they're triggers that require me to actually do something. So first you have to actually put Meluseek on the field, and then you have to take it off the field, or you have to go battle. And also, we can't inflict battle damage because of Malice and Underground, which prevents me from attacking directly, which is annoying. Also, wait, how does this work with Abramax? Does that mean you can't attack at all? Or does one of these effects override the other? I don't remember this ruling. Well, okay. Either way, if we were to have, like, Vanquish Soul I think is actually, like, pretty mediocre, but yeah. Being a quick effect is pretty nice on these cards. Being able to, like, normal summon Rosin and then quick effect use the destroy effect, except you can't actually use the effect in the same chain, and the search is actually vital, which makes Rosin feel a little bit extra terrible because you have to open like insanely well to even be able to do normal summon Rosin and then Rosin effect to like destroy. This is literally like a 3-card combo, bro. Like, let me activate my trigger effect plus my quick effect, please. This would actually beat Apollosa. Isn't that crazy? If this actually worked, right? Just normal into Apollosa zone, and then if Apollosa attempt to negate this effect, then we can try Rosin effect to remove Apollosa. And then to prevent this, you could try removing Rosin, I guess. forcefully removing Rosin because then you wouldn't be in the same column, and then I would maybe have to tag out into like a Caesar Valius or something because I need to do that. Otherwise, I have no monster on the field, and then I pretty much have to pass turn. So that's like a lot more interesting than literally like normal summon Melusi, normal special summon Dark Refer, and then not being able to activate a single card effect. So I think for like just the health of the game in future, like uh, instead of having an effect like this, we'd be better off with some of our starters just literally having effects that say during your main phase, quick effect to do what would have previously been like a ignition effect, just to at least be able to activate your own effects on your own turn. Like even if the effect doesn't resolve, at least you get a shot at activating it, I guess. And the game state gets more complicated and, in my opinion, a little bit more fun. So, yeah, that's all I got for you guys today, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.